usually those meetings that occur when they've not been pre-planned for some sort of purpose.
Yeah.
It's that synchronistic meetings. I mean, it is it is a magnetic attraction. And I think that anybody you meet, for some reason, you have encountered them. And if you listen carefully, you will probably learn something from every single encounter.
Yes.
If you're awake enough to observe it. Because people say things to you in a conversation, they have absolutely no idea that they have said something that pushes a certain button inside you.
Yes.
Or they seem to know something about you, but they don't know it's you. They're just talking about something. So we are definitely connecting on a very subliminal level.
Yeah.
And I find this eternally fascinating. So now when I have conversations with people, I know exactly that if they say something to me that pushes my buttons, that it's me who has to look at my button. It's got nothing to do with them. They're just
Exactly.
there to show me something.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
why I keep telling my wife that she's saying that I'm said, but why are you mad on me? I'm telling her, I never mad on about you. It's just the thing that you triggered in me. But so I keep telling her that, and she still thinks I'm crazy in a way. But that's
Yeah.
exactly what I mean. That's what you're saying. She's
Yeah.
saying something, and I am acting like I'm reacting in a bit of a angry way.
Yeah.
And she's like, but why are you angry about me? So I said, it's not about you. It's just something that you push inside me. And you're just there. You happen to be there.
But you know, she's
So
exceptionally lucky that she's married to someone who gets it. Most people don't. They just go off on their emotional tangent without realizing, hang on a second, it's not them, it's me.
yeah.
And to be truthful, it took me many years to realize that, to totally understand it. Because, you know, I'm considerably older than you. So in my day, when I was your age, this kind of conversation would never have happened. You would have been considered completely and utterly off your trolley, as the Brits say, you know.
Yeah.
Where it is becoming more commonplace now, but still it is not completely commonplace. And that's, I think, what we're doing by knowing and being able to explain to other people, you know, what I may have inadvertently hurt your feelings. It wasn't intentional. And perhaps you might like to sort of dig a little bit deeper to see why it hurt your feelings. Did it remind you of something? You know?
Yes.
And if you can't think of it, then it's probably something that your ancestors experienced and it's still within you, because we are the tip of the iceberg.
Yes.
That's how I see it anyway. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Though
Mm.
to say someone that to look within, you have to be like you have to find a really, really precise timing to do it. And maybe and
And it's also, yeah, and it's the way you do it.
that's the way we do it.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
can have to be also totally honest here that I have at times because been so irritated that I have bitten back when I know I shouldn't have done. And I've always been terribly sorry afterwards, almost
yeah.
within a split second. I'm sorry I've done it, but
Yes.
uh, I'm only
Yes.
human.
Yes, we are humans. So it reminds me something that happens not so long ago. It's like it's that my daughter, she's 3 years old, and that's exactly that, Sally. I've beaten that back, as you said. I mean,
Yeah,
you know how 3 years old can be.
yeah,
Pretty pretty triggering for the parents, right?
yeah, yeah,
And they can be quite annoying. So she sat here and in the salon, and she ate her breakfast, and then it started to spill on her, and she was and it was morning, and we had to go because I had to go to work, and we had like to get going. So you can imagine that I've started to be irritated, and she did it a bit even on purpose, like she wanted to see how I react. And she had a beautiful shirt with a heart shape on it. So So in a moment, I've yelled on I've yelled on her and started, come on, what are you doing? We have to go. And then something amazing happened. She she had a few tears on on her eyes, and she looked at me, and she said, um, I mean, she looked on her heart on her t-shirt, and she said, "But Daddy, my heart is clean."
Oh,
So,
oh,
and of course, it has few meanings. So at that moment, I mean, I I became I totally I in a second I realized that it's like I immediately could feel it, how I've been triggered, how it's really not about her. It doesn't matter what she's doing. She could be, and she helped me to remember it at that moment.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
Right?
Yeah. I remember my younger brother, when he was about 6, he had just started school. And at that time we were living in Germany, but we were English, and it was this would have been 1960. Yeah, 1960 this would have been. So it wasn't that long after the war, the Holocaust. And we were in Bavaria, Munich, of all places. And one of the teachers there definitely had a problem. Well, she was my form teacher, actually, and she had a terrible problem with me because I was an English girl. I don't know if she guessed anything else, but she was extremely unpleasant. And then when my brother started school, he was the most adorable little boy. He had blonde curly hair and the biggest brown eyes and dimples. I mean, cute, cute with a capital C. And she decided that she was going to give him a hard time as well, and wanted to punish him for something. I got punished all the time. And so she tried it on him. And this little boy, whereas I used to just very stoically look at her, I didn't react one way or the other. This sweet little boy said to her, "But I didn't do anything." And she left him alone after that.
Yes,
It touched her.
exactly.
And I think if I had cried my eyes out when she started being nasty to me, she probably would have not done it again, I don't think. But because I didn't show anything, she just thought,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can just keep going. And she did. But
Wow.
children's innocence, and the thing is, we adults are um, also not very good in speaking up when somebody's hurt our feelings. We either react angrily, which doesn't help anybody, but we don't actually speak up and say, you know what? You have triggered me. That's really hurt my feelings. Obviously, I have to understand why my feelings have been hurt, but I just want you to know that is what you have triggered in me. And you don't even have to have a deep conversation about it. It's just let somebody know, especially somebody who turns around and snaps at you about something with sarcasm or something like that. And they will carry on doing it, as a bully does as well,
Yes.
until they recognize they've hurt you. And
Yeah.
then somehow empathy and compassion come to the surface. And for
I,
years, I used to have a problem with this. Why should somebody be reduced to tears by your crass nastiness for you to stop doing it? Why are you doing it in the first place? But then, of course, I also didn't understand that they are hurt.
yes.
So it's it's a balancing act. And I think if we were all kinder to one another, just kinder and more considerate, and just see the other person as another wounded human being, because everybody's walking wounded one way or the other.
Yes.
And
Mm.
you know,
Mm.
the the energy, if you like, changes.
Exactly.
But it has to be a mutual thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's where the problem lies, I suppose.
Yeah. But that thing that you have to say to someone that they've hurt you, That's really that's such a simple, deep truth
That's right.
that we still keep on failing. I fail with it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting better, but still there's a long way to go, probably.
yeah. Well, do you think the admitting to somebody that they've hurt your feelings, do you think it's, I mean, I know from my point of view, um, I had a very comparatively complex childhood, let's put it that way. So there was a lot going on. And so I became very much, although I tend to be more introverted anyway, believe it or not, um, and more of an observer, I found myself stepping back completely and disengaging from what was going on around me. And part of it was because if you admit that your feelings have been hurt, if you allow yourself to feel what's happened, you actually fall apart. And that's showing a vulnerability. So what is it within me that was so afraid to show vulnerability? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's it's a bit of a different topic, but it's a time that we're coming to, a time in history that showing vulnerability is actually becoming to be a strength. But it's on,
Absolutely.
but it's only it's I think it's only recently, I feel maybe a few decades or something, that it's people that are most open and authentic and allow themselves to be whatever comes. So there's a lot of power there.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it was to survive for in the past. I don't sure it would work. Probably not.
Mm.
I, maybe if, in again in this digital era, so actually we can say whatever we want and nothing will happen because we're just on the screen.
And you can switch it off.
Yeah,
You can walk away and switch it off, and that's it. Go off in a huff.
yeah,
I'm not ever going to speak to you again, and I don't have to because you don't live around here. That's it, you know.
yeah.
It's very complex. It's complex, but it's very simple. But digging through the complexities of our psychological baggage
Mhm.
is, it's a minefield, really. And you have to be brave.
Yeah, really brave.
Yeah. And I think I think history has shown that, generally speaking, human beings tend to only reflect on their lives when they know they haven't got much time left.
Mhm.
And maybe it's the fear of going to hell once they've died. I don't know. But there's this sort of need to take a closer look and perhaps say sorry, even if only mentally, and to look at your own life and so on and so forth. Whereas now, we don't have to be on death's doorstep to do that. We know better. Because if we get rid of all of that junk way, way before death's doorstep, we have a much better life and
Yes.
probably a longer life to boot.
Yeah.
That's how I see it anyway.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I feel what happened right now in Israel, it's like that collectively, that we are a bit on this deathbed, not literally, probably, but a lot of people literally, but and it changed something, probably in the
Mm.
whole world, but here we are really can feel it in the last 2 months.
Tell me more.
It's something changed in the atmosphere. I mean, when you open the television, like the mainstream television, so they don't have any commercials for 2 months, and a lot of people are volunteering. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, something is really fundamental is changing. There are not a lot of places. There is no school because they're afraid of missiles. So, but it's just actually just an excuse. It's just
Mhm.
something that has to change. We saw it also start in COVID.
Right,
And
right.
so and people are giving a lot of their time and volunteering and a lot of like coming together and a lot of we had, I don't know if you remember before this event, that we had a lot of protests. You remember that?
Yes.
So it was like, it felt like a building up and building up and building up, and everyone felt that something has to happen. So it's not a surprise. I mean, it was a surprise, but it's not really a surprise. Something has to happen, and that's the thing that happened. So it brought everyone together, because like the people were speaking about like civil war, if it will keep going, these demonstrations and separation. So we came together against an enemy. There is nothing.
That makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable. Why is it, Sally?
I can be very cynical at times.
Okay.
I'm thinking in terms of politics and what is useful for politics and what is useful for certain individuals to remain where they are, is to create something that will bring you all into the fold.
Yeah.
It's happened before. It wouldn't be the first time. So I think there's a lot going on subterraneously. But coming back to all of that, I think from my observation and my feelings of what's going on, obviously there is huge explosions of anger and frustration and prejudices on the one side. And yet on the other side of the scale, there are huge amounts of people who are beginning to speak up.
Yes.
In the opposite direction. And it's like the scales are moving like this. Which way will they go? And I think I said to you a few weeks ago, I sense that this is almost, it sounds ridiculous, but it's almost like the last hurrah before moving into a better place slowly. Nothing changes overnight, but an emphasis of consciousness is changing. But it's painful.
Yes.
It's really painful because so many people are suffering. But humanity has proved itself very adept at warfare and suffering in order to come out on the other side with a little bit more peace.
Exactly.
Evolution is painful.
Yes. Exactly.
Human evolution, anyway.
I totally agree. I feel a lot of hope. Really, I feel a lot of hope. I'm sure that things will turn out amazingly amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it will take and how much it will cost, but it's not the end. I don't feel it's like it's the end.
I feel the same. I don't get that sinking feeling.
Yeah.
Doom and gloom. I mean, I recognize completely and utterly everything that's going on and the horror of it on all sides. But I don't have that impending sense of doom.
Yeah. Great.
I'm usually pretty good at sort of sensing things,
Yeah.
And I pray I'm right.
I also. But now we are joining our prayers, and I think most people are not this crazy ones to kill everything and to murder everything, and it's just a time. I feel that from humanity, the place that we're here right now, and people are connecting to the internet, for God's sake, and they can see and meet other people. It's not like 80 years ago that people couldn't.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make any sense to keep on this kind of craziness, but we'll see.
Well, I completely agree with you, but I also don't think that politics as such has got the solution either. That's just fiddling around the edges. It's like laws, rules, and regulations. They're only there to make people behave themselves in a manner that stops complete chaos.
Yeah.
If you are not conscious enough to recognize that there's a certain level of interplay that needs to be preserved in order to preserve some degree of harmony and balance. And, you know, that not, there's no such thing as black and white in any situation.
Yeah.
There's so many degrees in between, and you have the extreme there and you have the extreme there, but if you come towards the center of the scales, or the seesaw, if you like, if you come more towards the center, in the human body they call it homeostasis, where your bodily systems are all nicely chugging along in beautiful interconnected cohesion, because you know, all of your cells, they want to live. Each one of your organs has specific cells, and they've come together in a community to create your heart, your lungs, your bones, your kidneys, your liver, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like a universe of its own. And it's constantly trying to seek balance through hormones and so on, blah, blah, blah. And if you disrupt that beautiful, what could be a most beautiful, peaceful universe, if you disrupt it because you have stuff going on up here, and you're also abusing your body and you're not nourishing it properly, mind, body, and spirit, if you like, this is what happens. But if you bring it towards the center, and if you leave it just to do what it needs to do without the interference of the mind and the psyche, it just bobs along very nicely, and you're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So mind-body connection, you know, and it's the same outside of the body.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And so, yeah, let's just pray and hope that things will start to balance as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yes, as soon as possible, whenever that might be.
Yeah.
We should really say now, and keep saying now.
Yeah, right. Let's hope that things
Now.
start.
And now.
We'll getting better now.
Yeah, and I really do believe that if each one of us walks around in this world and we make the intention first thing in the morning that this day, all of my interactions are going to be of a high vibrational nature, for my highest and best good and that of all.
Yeah.
If we do that every day, it becomes not just words, it becomes feeling, and it becomes an energy. And it does work. It really does work. You just have to work at it a little bit until you notice that it works. And that's where faith comes in, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And it's you know, I feel okay, we're taking this for many different areas, this conversation, but who cares?
As you
Yeah. Also, something interesting happens, I think, in Israel. It's like a microcosmos for this, that you can see how you know, we had the very religious people and the very secular.
Yes.
But that's actually was the conflict between the two sides of the conflict, you might say. And it's actually, people start to see both ways again, like the religious people, they want to help and to join the army and to be, and the more secular people like myself start to believe more in prayers, and that we have to be more connected to this side.
Yeah.
So it's like these two sides start to come together.
Coming towards the center, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there is also the other thing that is very important to acknowledge. If everybody is on the same game plan, if you all come together for the same aim, then you're more likely to be successful than if there is disagreement.
Always.
And I think, I remember my grandfather, who was Jewish, and my mother and her siblings were refugees, with unaccompanied child refugees, if you like, and went to England. And my mother's brother had a bit of an unpleasant experience with a fellow Viennese student who he knew at school. And he had come to London on his way to America. And he wrote home about this chap having turned up on his doorstep. And he said, you know, he never bothered with me until he realized I could be useful. And then there was a couple of other things. And my grandfather wrote to him and said, in times of persecution, no matter what your personal feelings and differences might be, we must all stick together.
Right.
And it is so true.
Yes.
It is so true.
Yes. Because it's like it's different level of, it's not about opinions anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What we have is about opinions. It's like I have my secular opinion and you have your religious opinion. Okay. But now they have the opinion that they want to kill us and it doesn't matter. So
Exactly. If somebody is
so
out there to get you, you have every right to defend yourself and to make sure they don't get close enough to get to you. That's your right, is to defend yourself before it's too late.
yeah.
But coming back to that conversation slightly, my grandfather's sister, she lived in Sweden. And she wrote to my mother's brother, who was in England. This is very, basically despairing about humanity. This was after the Holocaust, when she discovered what had happened. And she wrote to him in England because she lost 2 of her siblings as well. And she said, there are times when I'm paraphrasing here, times when I think, you know, it would be best if the whole world just came to an end with the atom bomb. The atom bomb just been dropped, that was it. And she said, there are times when I've thought, just blow us all up. And then she said, but when I start thinking about humanity, I don't like that idea either.
Yeah.
And then she said, perhaps it will take the invasion of aliens from other planets to help to bring us all together. So it's the same concept all over again. You know, if you have a common enemy, you stick together. But we have to grow up and realize that nobody's an enemy.
Exactly.
That's the part, that's the missing part.
Exactly. And that's can we unite always only if we have an enemy? I think that's an question
Right.
that everyone needs to ask himself. Can we
That's right.
unite only when we have an enemy? Can we unite only right now? The new building that we are about to move to live. So we have 10 apartments, and like the constructor he's having a delay, and so all of us are like coming together against him. But it's really funny because they're nice people. They can also just be friends. I don't have to go to war with them. And
Exactly.
so
I think being able to communicate with people with whom you have differences in a way that is diplomatic, but it doesn't push their buttons. It's an art form. And this is why diplomacy is so slow, because you're approaching everything like a crab, you know, it's like sideways on. Because if you go straight for it, it's like, no, you know. So you have to move sideways, little movement there and a little movement there. We humans, what have we done?
But we're getting better.
We're getting better. Absolutely we are. And that I'm holding to that one. And I have absolute confidence in it, actually.
So I think maybe for now, for like a pilot, that's good. That's a positive note.
Okay, well, see how it goes. See what you think.
Yeah, I think maybe, okay, so maybe we'll just say goodbye to our audience. Thank you for being with us. If you've been so far, we really appreciate it. And we'll see how it goes.